Welcome back to another episode of Effortless Coding. My name is Samuel and I'm glad that you've joined us in a new episode. This, as of course, is MySQL series. For those people who are joining us for the first time, kindly remember to subscribe to our channel. Make sure you share with your friends. And as I said, we run a digital marketing agency called Skies on Communications that we help brands and organizations improve their online presence. And by that we mean we help you in developing your website, doing search engine optimization for it, and also handling your social media accounts and ensuring that you rank well on different search engines. Last episode we talked about phpMyAdmin, and we said we're going to create a database in this particular episode, and we're going to do that in two ways. Number one, by using the graphical user interface instruction, and the second one is by using the syntax, the MySQL syntax in the SQL command line box. Go to HTTP, as you can see on my screen, go to http://localhost/phpMyAdmin. So it is my hope that you can actually see the graphical user interface. If you cannot see and it's telling you unable to connect, kindly remember to start your web server. We talked about Xampp. For those people who don't know how to install or haven't installed, kindly follow this link to install your Xampp web server, because that is what we're using in this tutorial series. So after you've done that, go and navigate to localhost phpMyAdmin. And as you can see, there is a top menu where it starts with databases, then there is SQL, as you can see on my screen, and all the other menus. We are going to do a database that will hold data for members who register on a web form with their details. That will be the email, username, or rather username can be the email, password, your name's first name and second name. Basically we need that for a simple example. And so you'll have a form. We'll develop a form where you'll enter these details, and then we'll call it registration form. And then we'll also have another form where you'll enter the username, which in this case is the email, and the password for you to navigate or log in to a page that you're not supposed, or rather you're restricted to access if you've not yet registered. So that is the essence of this MySQL database, is to store that information that you registered with. So have that in mind as we are creating the database. In our next episodes, we will handle the forms and the PHP scripting that runs behind the forms that will actually help us send this data to the database. But in this case, we're going to create the database. Now let's assume that because we are talking about a login system, we will create a database called login. So let's use the first option. As you can see on my screen, click on that option called database on the graphical user interface. You can see databases. Now once you've clicked on that, under create database, you can see there's a place where it's written create database. Enter the name login, because that is how we want to name our database, and then click create. All right, so basically what this does, it has a syntax that runs behind the scenes that you cannot see, and this is the syntax that we will do when we will use when you're using the second option. But just know that when you enter the name of the database and click create database, there is a syntax that will run behind the scenes that will enable the database to be created. So that is the first way. As you can see on the list of databases on our phpMyAdmin, you can see that new database has been created and it's called login, right? So I hope you've understood the first option, which is the easiest. The second option that you are going to use, as you can see on my screen, there is that second menu on my phpMyAdmin called SQL. I want you to click on that option just after databases. Remember, when we accessed our phpMyAdmin, we started with databases, then the second option was SQL. So I want you to click SQL. Once you click SQL, you can see on my screen it has given you some sort of a box where you're supposed to enter your command line. I want you to type the command line before. Now remember, MySQL uses, you remember when we did the introduction, MySQL uses the standard SQL language. So we are going to type using the SQL language, but don't worry, we'll learn about this with time. So I want us to create the database using the SQL language. So I want you to type this. Just type the name create space, the name database, then space, then login, as you can see on my screen. Type create space database space login, and then end it with a semicolon. Right? So once you've typed those commands, I want you to go at the bottom right. There is a button that has been labeled Go. So click on Go, and by doing that, you'll have created your database called login, right? So since we did the first one and the second one, you can't have two databases named the same. So in the second case, you can just say on the command line, before you click on that, you can just say create database login 1 instead of just say login, because you can't create two databases with the same name within phpMyAdmin or any other server that stores those databases in one. So create this database with a different name. That's all I'm saying. So create database, the statement should be create space database space login 1, then click semicolon, then click on Go. By that, you'll have created that, the database using the second way, which is the command line way, and this is what we'll focus on. But I'll be showing you the two ways, the alternative ways, by using the graphical user interface. So remember, in this tutorial, we're going to handle the login system and seeing how data is actually, sent to the database from the HTML web form via the scripting language PHP that works on the back end down to the MySQL database. Then, so we'll have to, at some point, interact with HTML and PHP. So if you have no idea about these two different languages, I would want you to go and do more research on HTML, at least have some basic knowledge of HTML and PHP. So until next episode, kudos!